like 10 feet times a second.
We knew what the price was last time we did it.
And I started getting this creep.
Ready?
I wonder if it goes the same way.
Yeah. Okay.
Is it up here?
You guys ready? Okay. My glasses so I can read it. I'd like to call this Fernley City Council budget meeting to order May 6, 2026. If you need hearing devices, please come up to the front. We'll supply you with those. To avoid meeting disruptions, please place cell phones in the silent mode or turn them off during the meeting. All meetings are recorded. When addressing council, please sign in, state your name, speak clearly into the microphone. Line item 1, introductory, and I'll lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Line item 1.2, roll call. Ward 1, Councilman Hannan is present. Ward 2, Councilwoman Zaworski is present. Ward 4, Councilman Torres is present. And Ward 5, Councilman Mendoza is present. Line item 1.3, public forum. This is a portion of the meeting devoted to the public. The public may comment on any matter that is not specifically included on the agenda as an action item. Items not included on the agenda cannot be acted upon other than to place them on a future agenda. If you wish to comment, you can do so in person at the meeting or raise your hand featured Zoom. *9 if you're participating via phone. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes. The mayor may, at his discretion, hold comments until the second public forum at the end of the meeting. Public comments submitted prior to 4 p.m. the day of the meeting will be provided to City Council and added to the record, but will not be read during live meeting. Any public input received after 4 p.m. the day of the meeting will be included in the record, but may not reach council members before action is taken. Is there any public input at this time? Is there anybody on Zoom? No? Okay. No public comment at this time. We'll move on to line item 1.4, looking for approval of the agenda. Councilman Hannan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Councilman Hannan, second by Councilwoman Zaworski. Please vote. Motion carries 4-0. Now move on to line item 2, staff reports. 2.1, discussion possible action regarding the fiscal year 26-27 proposed tentative budget, including but not limited to all funds within the Water Enterprise Fund, Wastewater Enterprise Fund, General Fund, Special Revenues Fund, Capital Improvement Programs, rates, all city departments, the budget process, timelines, goals, and existing budget, debit, staffing, including but not limited to reorganization, reclassification, employee positions and contracts, new positions, and other matters related thereto. City Treasurer Robert Carson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good afternoon. Thank you for being here early today. I'm Robert Carson, City Treasurer for the record. And this is kind of an interim from our tentative budget that we did a few weeks ago and went through that process until we get to the final budget, which will be presented at the next regular council meeting on the 20th, where you guys will approve the final budget. Today, if I can get this to work. There we go. So this is just a brief overview of what we're going to look at today. So we have the review and possible approval of the proposed new job descriptions to take effect on July 1st, 2026. This will just help get us to that final budget number on what we have for staffing. So I know we've talked briefly about these. We'll do a more in-depth conversation on these positions individually if you'd like. And then I'm just asking for a motion either to approve or to just let it pass and hold off, whatever you guys want to do. That way it'll help get us to that final budget on what we need for salaries and benefits for each one. And then depending on where we go with the job descriptions, there's a possible approval of the new organizational chart that would take effect on 7/1/26. You guys could, if you were to not approve some of these positions that we're going to talk about today, you could approve the org chart that's proposed today with some minor tweaks, or we could hold off and I can re-present it during the final budget, whichever way works best for you. And then we have some changes from the tentative budget that was presented on April 2nd, and we'll just walk through those so you guys can see where we're headed towards the final budget, so it's not a surprise when we get there in a couple of weeks. And then our utilities director, Mr. Song Kim, will give a brief Q&A on the 5-year CIP of the water and the wastewater enterprise funds. So he'll be available for that. And then at the very end, if there's time, any other questions or concerns that you guys want to talk through on the budget before we get to that final budget, I'd be happy to answer any questions or have any conversations surrounding that. Do we have any questions on the agenda? Any ideas, points of order where you want to go with this? Perfect. So we'll just jump right in.
Councilman Mendoza, did you have a question or something?
Yeah, when will we get into the job descriptions?
The job descriptions were emailed to you last week as part of the agenda. I emailed them. We'll talk about each of these positions up here listed individually outside of the Animal Control Officer 1, because that job description's already been approved and is already part of our staff.
My question is, is it going to be discussed individually within your presentation?
Yeah, if you want to talk about certain
Okay.
items in the job descriptions, we can absolutely do that.
Perfect, thank you.
So these are the proposed positions, and I apologize, I left off one of the court clerks on, or the municipal court on-call clerk. They're looking to hire a part-time person just on an emergency basis, so it would be on-call. There'd be no PERS or anything, any health benefits, so the cost would be very simple on that one, and I apologize, I left that out. But we do have the court clerk job description already approved, so we don't need that approval on this one either. So we'll talk about the Chief Development Officer first, the Chief Operations Officer, the Human Resources Technician, the Parks and Recs Superintendent, and the Public Information Officer. So the first one to talk about is the Chief Development Officer. This position will supervise the planning, building and safety, and engineering departments. There's lots of different benefits to adding a CDO. It gives the city a more focused person to worry about the big picture while leaving the department heads to focus on their individual departments. This person is more of a collaborator that'll bring those 3 departments together and really help to move the city forward. It'll also be the point person for developers and new business coming in. So there won't be any confusion. Do I have to talk to planning? Do I have to talk to building? The back and forth in there. It'll be a more focused person for outside entities looking to get their questions answered. And all in all, it'll just make the city more organized and more streamlined for businesses coming in and projects coming in, so we can get these approved and moving forward on a more regular basis to help the city grow. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions on that one, or talk about the job descriptions if you'd like, or we can move on to the next one and do this all as a big group. whichever one.
Councilman Mendoza?
Yeah, I know there's a few people already considered for filling some of these positions. What is the wage increase compared to what they're at now?
That wouldn't be something that would be discussed in this. This would be an open thing. No decisions have been made, so I can't give you any differences in salary type thing. Unless we're talking specific people, and that one I'm not sure I'm allowed to talk about.
Aaron Morton, City Attorney, if you're going to discuss specific people's wages, then they need to be given notice in order to be discussed.
Okay. Thank you.
But I will tell you, I think the proposed salary for the CDO and the Chief Operations Officer are both at $141,000 a year starting.
Yeah, I see the range. Thank you. Can you guys hear back there, Tammy? I'm sure they'll help fix that. Yeah, you could. That was the test. You heard the sounds? Okay. Now they could hear better. Thank you guys. Sorry about that.
Councilwoman Zaberski.
Could you remind me of the price difference from us having a city manager compared to two chief development officers?
Yeah, so with the creation of these two jobs would go away. So the savings, depending on where you brought people in with the two positions going away and these two people coming in, could be anywhere from $50,000 to $150,000. So on the safe end, I'd go with just our recent experience of trying to hire a city manager. I'd say probably $100,000 a year savings between those positions.
Okay, thank you.
All right. If there's no further questions, go ahead and we'll move on.
Okay. So I don't know if you as a council want to vote on these. Sure. I don't know if you want to vote on these individually or if you want to vote on them as a group and take one big motion. You let me know how you want to attack this.
Councilwoman Zaberski.
I feel like it will be easier for us to go through at the end and see all the positions together than go one by one, because then we're kind of limiting ourselves for the positions that come after that.
Perfect.
Thank you.
All right. So then we'll move on to the chief operating officer. Wow. All right. So the chief operating officer, this position would oversee the public works, the independent parks and rec department, and the utilities department. So along with the chief development officer, this gives a more focused, big picture contact person, leaving the department heads and the directors of those departments to focus on their day-to-day and not worry about what the other ones. This one will tie the three departments together and make sure they're working in tandem and just give a better, more focused operation that we have going on. It'll take some of the operational load off the leadership team and handle internal processes. So bigger picture, they can develop different processes and procedures between the different departments that they're overseeing. Instead of getting pulled into the day-to-day, that's what the directors would be for. So it's definitely more of a big picture type thing. And again, with the CDO, the COO creates a more efficient, organized operation, and I think would just be beneficial to the city as a whole in our operation and lead to more productive services to be provided. I'd be happy to answer any questions about that one.
I see no questions.
Perfect. All right. So the human resources technician. So currently at the city, we have right around 100 different employees, and we have one person handling everything: the hiring, the onboarding, the benefits, limited payroll activities, dealing with PERS and things like that, compliance and employee questions, along with periodic investigations and things like that. So it's a lot for one person to handle. An HR technician would come in and take on the day-to-day tasks like record keeping, and they would help coordinate the hiring. So the onboarding and the hiring process could kind of be shifted, leading the HR manager to do more of the higher level things that they're expected to be doing instead of getting dragged down into the day-to-day stuff. The other thing is it also helps to have a backup for HR, because if our HR person goes on vacation, has a medical emergency, anything like that, we're kind of stuck outside of calling pool packed. And as they're not our employees, sometimes things get bogged down. So HR kind of has a stopping point if ever our HR manager wants to take time off. So having a backup that could fill in for these roles and keep things rolling day to day is a good thing. It's a way to keep things moving. It'll help avoid burnout by our HR department, and it'll make the HR operation move more efficiently, having an extra person. And most organizations our size do not rely on solely one person. It's just a lot to manage. So.
Go ahead, Councilwoman Zaberski.
Thank you. If we're gonna have a chief operating officer and a chief development officer, why can't some of those why can't they kind of wear a little bit of that HR hat and help with HR as well? For the hiring and any of the paperwork that needs to be done in each of those departments. I understand communicating with leadership, but I feel like they would probably be doing some HR stuff as well as hiring, firing. They're gonna be dealing with a lot of that as well, right?
They do that portion on their side, right? So if they're hiring a new person in their department, then they would help out on the HR or on the hiring panel and do those things. In terms of HR compliance, it's a specialized type skill that we have the HR person to do to make sure that we're following all the HR labor regulations and those types of things that you wouldn't put on the executives or the management level to do, as we have an HR department that's solely managed for that. Does that make sense?
It seems like you'd be able to cross-train a chief development officer, somebody like that in some of those HR jobs.
You could, but we're talking about bringing somebody in to run the day-to-day type things and paperwork and those things. You don't want to bring in a chief development officer to run in and do day-to-day paperwork that could be handled by an HR technician type thing. And to keep those separate, you want to keep the HR function separate from the day-to-day operations of the city.
Okay. I have like a picture in my head of how those operating officers could also be cross-trained in some things in case on the off chance that our main HR is not there or something, but I digress.
All right. Any other discussion on that one?
I see none at this time.
Thank you. All right, so the next position is the Parks and Rec Superintendent. As we talked about in April, this reorg, one of the things that we're really excited about would be to have a dedicated Parks and Rec staff. This position would come in and supervise. We had conversations about whether adding another director was needed or if a superintendent can handle the day-to-day and just report to the chief operating officer. But this person would supervise that dedicated Parks and Rec staff. They would give the city somebody who's really focused on parks and recreation, making sure that the maintenance schedules are set aside, making sure staff's doing those maintenance things, because there's things to do even in the winter, keeping the parks and facilities running well. Yeah, they would also help maintain staffing schedules, working on hiring and firing within the department, those types of things. And it would just make it easier. The community would have a point person again for this department to work through issues, and they could filter it down to their employees on where things need to be addressed. So ultimately, this should result in cleaner parks, better organized programs, and more opportunities to enjoy what we have as a city to offer the residents. So, any questions on that one?
Councilman Mendoza?
I do. As far as the experience and training, or excuse me, required certifications and licensing. The second bullet point is possess or obtain applicable certifications related to park maintenance, irrigation systems, or pesticide application as required. Do we not have a list of specific qualifications this individual need? Or will we just let them figure it out on their own? Because this is a pretty vague requirement for certifications.
I'm going to let our Public Works Director, Mr. Williams, answer that one.
Good evening, Barry Williams, Public Works Director for the record. The reason that's left that vague is because those certifications do change quite often. We run into scenarios where new certifications may become available that we may want that department head to actually obtain. And it would not be specifically stated in the job description, but it may be needed.
Okay, thank you. So it's a catch-all.
Was that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
That's what that is. Yeah.
Okay, so the last position that I have up here is the Public Information Officer, and this will be a new position. What a Public Information Officer does ideally is they handle press releases, social media, website updates, public announcements. So our residents always know what's going on, whether it's road work, emergencies, earthquakes, issues at the water plant. You're getting one clear communicated voice, and you're making sure that the messaging is consistent and it's going out everywhere that the city decides that it needs to go. This person would develop a communication plan for the city on just those things. Which website, do we just want our website? Do we want it to go out to the county's website? Any of the social media accounts? How do we want to handle those things? They can also support the city council and other committees by sharing meeting information to the public and making sure that the decisions that are made or the decisions that are going to be talked about are communicated out there, helping with transparency and making sure our residents feel like they're informed on what's going on in the city. Again, it's a unified voice. So instead of one message coming from our utilities department, one coming from Public Works, one coming from the mayor, it's all one consistent message so everybody can rely on that information. Having that person available at all times when you need them is a valuable tool. I know we discussed outsourcing. Outsourcing, we may not be able to get our message out in time. It may take a little while if something were to happen overnight. This way we know that it's getting out and we're in control of what's being said. So overall, this position would allow us to add transparency to the city for our residents so they know what's going on and we can communicate the information that we feel we need to get out there. They can be involved in community engagement, going to the chamber, going to other nonprofit organizations to make sure that the messages are heard. So that's why this is being proposed. Those are the benefits that we see as a city to adding this position. It would be a full-time position and we'd make sure we kept it busy. So. I'd be happy to answer any questions on that one.
No questions at this time.
Okay. So for the proposed positions, those are all the new positions where you'd have to approve the job descriptions that were sent to you. Again, you guys can accept all of them. You can accept some of them, however you want to do it. I'd be happy to answer any more questions before we go forward. But that's all I have on the new positions.
Councilman Torres, go ahead.
I don't know if we need a motion and a vote on this, if that's what you're looking for, but
Yes.
Yes, please.
I'd like to have a discussion with the executive level of government on the proposed HR position. I have some questions on that, but the rest I'm for.
Okay.
So I guess my motion would be to approve all of the information or all of the positions proposed, except for the new HR position at this time.
And would you like us to bring that position back after you have your discussion on the May 20th budget hearing?
Yeah, we can bring it back for a vote on May 20th, please.
Perfect.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Councilman Torres, seconded by Councilwoman Zabersky. Please vote. Motion carries 4-0. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So the next item to talk about on the agenda is a proposed org chart with the new proposed positions and the reorganization within the city. This position does include the HR technician on it. So if you're okay with the org chart as it is, we can hold off on it until the May 20th and I can bring it back after we have the conversation on the HR tech. Or we can approve it minus the HR tech right now and add it back in if it's approved on the 20th. However you want to handle that. It's not much different from what was proposed on at the April tentative budget meeting. It shows that the chief development officer will oversee planning, building, and the engineer. And then the chief operating officer will oversee Public Works, the Parks and Rec, and the utility department. And then moving other items underneath the mayor as the chief executive.
Councilman Mendoza.
I have two questions. Excuse me. One would be, I don't see an issue with this unless legal has an issue with it, that we make a motion. I mean, I want to approve this. So if I were to make the motion to approve this, with the removal of the HR assistant pending the approval of the job description, so we don't have to bring this back and just either delete it or add it pending that vote. Is that okay?
Aaron Mortson, City Attorney, that'd be just fine.
Perfect. Second question is, why is the pay scale the same and then one is overseen more than the other? Or am I looking at something wrong?
I know it looks a little unbalanced. It's more along the job descriptions and the requirements that are for both of these positions. So while there may be more people underneath the chief operating officer, the chief development officer and the chief operating officer will have very specific high-level requirements on the job, and they'll also require certain prerequisites to get hired. So those prerequisites will bring them in at pretty much the same level, and that's what you find across the board. There may be minor variations. I think for ease, we just made them similar.
And if I could add a little bit to that, when whoever these two people are that are selected, it could be selected one more than the other as far as salaries go. That would be up to this council.
So there'll still be a negotiation on salaries?
Yeah, so because they're exempt positions, there could be negotiations on salaries and bringing somebody in higher than the beginning part of the pay scale.
Excuse me. All right, thank you.
Councilman Hannan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good afternoon, Mr. Carson. This maybe is a question for legal. We can approve the proposed organizational chart, but just not fund the position and then fund it later. Is there a problem with that?
Aaron Mortson, City Attorney, that would be fine. The only issue here is that because a job description has not been approved, the job doesn't really exist yet to even put on the org chart.
Excuse me, so Councilman Mendoza has already made a motion.
Well, he made a motion, then he asked a question, so I didn't know if that
Yeah.
was a motion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't really, it was more of a question than the motion.
Oh, okay.
That's what I
So,
thought.
yeah.
And so you could not approve the new, this spot on the org chart for a job that doesn't yet exist.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah, and
Councilman Mendoza, go ahead.
yeah, if there's no discussion, I will make the motion.
Yeah, go ahead, Councilman Mendoza.
So I'll make the motion to approve the proposed organizational chart without the HR assistant and have that removed from it. But if the job description is approved in a later meeting, that it'd be added to it accordingly. That is my motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Councilman Mendoza, seconded by Councilman Hannan. Please vote. Motion carries 4-0. Thank you. Next.
All right, thank you all. The last one I have to talk about before I turn it over to Mr. Kim is the additional proposed changes from the last time we discussed the tentative budget through today. There may be more changes when we get to the final budget. I know insurance rates are still kind of in flux, but as of right now, these are changes that we've identified. When the tentative budget was presented, the PIO salary was spread differently, so it's been moved over to the mayor's office. So the mayor's office salaries and benefits will be somewhat elevated. There's also $65,000 prepared to be donated to the sheriff's department. Sheriff Pope came in with a request for 20 LiDAR units for patrol cars and also a speed trailer that would be deployed here in Fernley. So that's on there. Facilities will increase. There's a $250,000 increase, and that's a carryover for the facilities plan. When the tentative budget was there, I thought we'd have a contract in place and some of the money would be spent. So as we get closer to the end of the year, it's less likely that we're going to have very much money spent. So we're going to carry over the full amount. So that amount will just increase. Animal control, they had proposed adding an additional truck to go along with the new animal control position that is proposed. They decided they can hold off another year for that truck. So their capital outlay has been decreased by $130,000. The Parks and Rec, on the other hand, we didn't factor in a new vehicle for the Parks and Rec superintendent. So their capital outlay will go up by $60,000. And then I'd mentioned during the tentative budget hearing, potentially doing a $2 million transfer out of the general fund into the capital project fund to fund future projects. So the capital fund, what it does is it legally restricts those funds to the purchase or construction of capital projects. So if we were to do that transfer, and nothing says if it's budgeted, we have to do the full amount, that money would be set aside solely for capital projects. So it would take some of the burden off the general fund. We could build up this savings and we could accomplish some of those more longer term projects that we identify. Again, if we find out that we're not running as good as we should next year, we could reduce that. We could do a $1 million transfer, $500,000 transfer, or hold off on the transfer to keep the general fund solvent. It's just one of those ideas to plan for the future and any of those needs coming up. What all this results in, what was presented at the tentative budget hearing was a $9.8 million fund balance in the general fund. With these changes, and most of it's a $2 million transfer to the capital projects fund, it would bring the general fund budgeted ending fund balance down to $7.4 million. It's still well above our 15% requirement in there, and it still gives us a lot of room. And again, it takes that $2 million and allows us to save and plan for future bigger projects that we may have. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on that. I just wanted you to be aware so it wasn't a surprise when we get to the final budget and you say, no, I don't like any of that. We need to change this before we approve anything. But I'd be happy to answer any questions about any of this.
Councilman Mendoza, then Councilwoman Zaberski.
Oh, you're more comfortable.
Somebody's open up on Zoom. We'll let them figure that out first. We good.
It kind of looks like Kim.
So with the transfer out of the $2 million, that's to transfer $2 million into a capital projects fund, which ties the $2 million up and can't be used for anything else.
Correct. It can be used for the construction or the purchase of capital projects or
And
capital assets, sorry.
What is the benefit for that?
The benefit again is long-term planning. So if we were to, for example, explore doing turf at the out-of-town park for the softball field, so we didn't have to do any of that, we could start doing these transfers out of the general fund as we have a surplus. And then those funds would be used for that in 2 or 3 years when we're ready to do it. We'll know that the funds are there. They're not committed to anything else. It's solely for those types of projects.
Okay. But we could transfer money into that capital project fund at any point throughout the fiscal year, correct?
Correct.
And if we, so, and the reason why I'm asking is because if we take $2 million and tie it up to those things, but we have something else happen or we need it for something different, which I don't know what that would be, but we essentially tied our hands with that $2 million being in that capital fund.
So what we would do is we would have that $2 million budgeted. As we got towards the end of the year, we'd start discussing if we're going to do that transfer or if we're going to do all of it or a partial amount of that transfer based on how our general fund's running. So as we get towards the end of the year, if it's decided that we, need the $1 million more in the general fund than the long-term planning, then we could only do a $1 million transfer or a $500,000 or no transfer at all. So it wouldn't happen until the end of the year. This just earmarks it so we can do it if we decide to do it.
And if we earmarked it today or at our final budget, it will still come to an approval or it would just start happening automatically?
We would have discussions with you. It would be one of those discussions that we'd have during the quarterly financial update. I would bring this information to you long about the end of the third quarter, so end of April, beginning of May, somewhere in there. And we'd discuss where we sit and where we're projected to be for the fund balance. And we would have that discussion on if we wanted to transfer the full amount or if we wanted to do a partial or hold off on it completely.
Okay. Yeah, I'm really not too fond of transferring all that money and tying our hands to one thing because we could use it for whatever if it's in the general fund, how I'm understanding it. But if we do it to capital projects, I'm a fan of funding and completing capital projects. I just don't like my hands being tied.
The other thing that can be done is right now we're purchasing all of our capital equipment out of that out of the general fund. And this could be used to do that too. So if we were to transfer 2 million, when we got to fiscal year 28 and we identified, $500,000 of equipment, it could be purchased out of this capital projects fund or the capital fund, and it frees up money in the general fund as well. So there's a lot of different ways to do it. My thought process again is just more of a long-term planning, because we've had so many ideas thrown around on where we want to see the city go. If we don't start planning and setting some money aside, we're not going to be able to do it because the money's going to get tied up with something else. So.
No, I
Councilwoman-
agree with that. I'll let Councilwoman go first.
Okay.
and then-
Councilwoman Zaborski.
Are you sure? It doesn't seem like you're finished. You can finish.
I'm finished with that topic.
Okay. So towards the end of this slide, you said something about, and we're still way over, or we're safe. And are you talking about like the contingency that we're supposed to have, that we're well over 50% of what we need? Or can you just elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yeah, so our policy states that we have to maintain a 15%, at least a 15% of unassigned fund balance. So
Okay.
that 15% is based on operating expenses of the prior year. So our operating expenses run anywhere from 12 to $14 million, give or take. So that 15% would put it right around $2 million. So that's what we need to keep for our unassigned fund balance per our own policy. Per state law, you have to keep 4%. So if you start messing with numbers, then it gets really bad. If we bring it down to 7.4 million or 7 million or even 8 million, depending on how this year turns out with the actuals, we're still well above our own policy. We still have plenty of money to reapply in the case of an emergency. We're just not sitting on, $20 million instead of providing the services to the citizens. Make sense?
Honestly, my brain is having a hard time braining right now, so just bear with me. We have to have 15% or we have to have 4% legally by state law.
By state law, you have to have at least 4%. Our own internal resolution says we have to keep a 15%.
What percentage are we at?
At the current moment?
Yes,
About 90.
90%?
Yeah,
That's how much over we are in our budget.
that's how much unassigned fund balance we have compared to the previous year's expenses. Yes. Is
90%.
About 90%.
Okay. My second question is, I see the sheriff's department on here, which I feel like I'm trying to think of the last time I saw the sheriff's department in our budget, but I think it might have been like the SWAT vehicle or something a couple years ago. But I don't see anything for the fire department. And I know that the fire department did have communication with the city about one-time asks in this budget. And so I'm wondering where, if it's not coming out of the mayor, if it's not coming out of anywhere else, where would that money come from?
So the fire department's already in there. It was included in the tentative budget. It was the $110,000, I believe. So that's still there. These are just changes from that budget to where we're going for the final budget.
Okay, I have the original spreadsheet from the chief and the email. I got the same email that you and the mayor both received. And I'm confused why we didn't see that whole spreadsheet, like their whole ask, and it was just kind of decided, picking and choosing through their ask. Oh, well, we'll support your PP&E, but nothing else. Because their total ask was around 404,000 and not 110,000. And
Correct.
so I'm just curious, who decided to make that decision? Where did that happen?
The mayor and I did in conversation in presenting this budget. It was decided we didn't want to overburden, where we were at in a budget. We were trying to balance things out to make sure we were doing things for our citizens that we have the tax money to do. So that's how we came up with 110.
I don't know if that should just be a finance and mayor decision.
Well,
That doesn't,
you as a council are more than welcome to have that conversation.
well, I just don't know how you guys decided that you were gonna support the 110 and none of the other asks without it coming to council and saying, hey, the fire department is asking this, what would you guys like to support? Instead, it was just decided that it would be PP&E and nothing else.
Well, that's what the budget process is we come up with what we think is a budget. So the mayor and I and the department heads working together present it to you. If you want to have a different conversation and have more things added, I'd be happy to talk through that or listen to the conversation and we can make those changes.
I definitely would, at least before the final budget, because, you know, if this is one-time asks and them not asking for us to pay for salaries, I think that's something that we should be able to fit into our budget. And I know that's a pretty high amount, but if I'm understanding right, and we have over in our contingency and unspent monies, then I don't know why we wouldn't be able to support the one-time asks in this situation. So if we could please put those other asks into the final budget. And if council is not, if the rest of council is not a fan of that, then I would love to hear their opinions, but I would like the full amount that they had asked for the one-time monies and where that looks and how that looks in our budget for the final.
Well, what it would do is bring that $7.4 million down to an even 7. So I'd be happy to listen to any arguments for or against here and we can go from there, or I can have it presented at the final budget, whatever is the
Okay.
preference.
And I'm not trying to be like, I don't want to come off as like attacking, but it was just, I saw the spreadsheet and then it was just the one ask that I saw in the budget. And then I was like, well, I didn't get to see any of these other asks or
Well,
amounts.
one of the asks on there, just for everybody's reference, one of the asks on there was for us to make their last debt service payment on one of their apparatus. That one, I'm not sure if there's issues doing that, but it seems strange to me. So that's why that one was excluded. Asking us to pay off their apparatus just didn't seem like our responsibility, more or less. So,
Well, I mean, it's a fire department that serves our city. So I think if it's one-time asks, I feel like that's a little bit easier for us to do. And paying off a final payment, is there a legal reason why we wouldn't be able to do that as a city?
Aaron Morton, city attorney, I don't believe there is. I could take a look and do some research, but ultimately, I think if this council wanted to allocate money to the either 110,000 or the 4,000, that would be a council decision as to how much you want to fund.
Either way, I definitely understand your concern about it, but I would still prefer that to be a council deciding factor and not.
sure.
Thank you.
Councilman Hannan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Keep getting questions and I keep hearing answers. So I'm going to stick with just the ending fund balance and this transfer. So just so I'm clear, this is essentially to clear up any misconception about money hoarding. You know, when I came in, there was this balance of $15 million and people said, well, what is that for? And I don't think anybody here had a good answer. And so my understanding is that this allocation to put 2 million into a special fund is to show the public that it's dedicated for a project. Their tax money is going to good use, not just hoarded. Is that correct?
You're correct. Yes.
Thank you. And my second question, concern, comment, I think this is more of a comment and concern, is that, you know, currently right now I see some people here from my ward, Ward 1, that live behind Rayleigh's, and all of those roads need to be repaired or replaced. I think they're on the full replacement list. Miller Lane, a whole bunch of roads in the industrial park. I think we're somewhere in the $30 million, and maybe somebody over here on my left can help me with that number, behind in road repair. And so our fiscal responsibility is to take the money that is allocated for city services and use that money for city services. I've said this time and time again, and I'm going to repeat it tonight for the record. If the fire department can't balance its budget and be fiscally in the green, then we have to have a larger conversation about how to fix that long term. Whether that means that the county helps, the state helps, we all help. There's a combined effort. There's not a combined effort. They dissolve. The city takes responsibility. We give medical to REMSA. Whatever that conversation is, I sort of feel like we're like 3 or 4 steps ahead of ourselves. We don't even know what we're funding, and we don't know what say we give them $400,000. What does that mean at the bottom line? Does that mean that it provides 1 more ambulance or 5 more ambulances or no more ambulances? There's so much anger on Facebook about building a new park, and everybody says, the majority of those comments are, we're spending money on something we don't need, take care of what we have. And I've said this time and time again, you know, we have a house, this building and our parks, and a lot of it's falling apart. And people don't want us to build an Olympic-sized swimming pool in the parking lot. They want us to fix the building and fix what we have. And so I have a serious concern about our fiscal responsibility to the taxpayers to use the money that's allocated for city services. That being said, I don't have a problem with the one-time ask from the sheriff, and I don't have a problem with the one-time ask for the fire department. We all want more emergency services. They're important and vital for the health and well-being of all the people that live here. With that being said, just roads, 30 million, a sewer plant that we want to build, 75 million. We have huge costs. We have parks that we're going to put a couple $100,000, and that's not even going to put a dent in the massive park problem that we have. And now we're allocating money for an unknown item that's being requested. I haven't heard, nobody sent me anything. I don't have the spreadsheet from the fire department. Nobody sent me that. And I don't know what that equates to. And this is why I keep bringing up the fact that we need a comprehensive study to find out how to help those folks or how not to help those folks. That I think is part of the conversation. So I just want to put that on the record. And I want to reiterate that this 15 million that we had when I came in, nobody knew what it was for. And I said, this is taxation without representation. A lot of the projects that we said we couldn't do, we had the money to do. And at whatever time they didn't do them. So I love this idea of putting money for these projects so that we show the public that we're building a savings. We've never really built a savings for anything particular like this, set money aside for something particular. I think this is extremely important. And so thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Torres.
So with part of that, I agree with, not all of it, but part of it. There's bits and pieces in there that I think make good sense. So I think that on some things we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. And I think that biggest thing is what I would really like to see us do is put a hold on this fishing pond at $500,000 this budget year. Not stop it because it's in planning and design right now. That's going to cost $25,000 from the budget that we had up last year. I still want to do the planning and design. And then I want to, since we have a new grants administrator who is awesome, I want to see in the next fiscal year between now and this time next year on what grants and funding that we can rally up in order to pay for this instead of the majority out of the general fund, is which we're headed for right now. Now, I'm not saying just save the money. I think that we take that 500 grand and we put that towards Miller Lane. Miller Lane has been complained about now for at least a decade, and it's getting worse by the day. Now, 2027, we're supposed to break ground on 6th and 7th and the Alphabet Streets. 28, we've already received RTC money for planning and design on Miller Lane. And I know that Miller Lane is going to take a lot of work because there are a lot of easements along that road. It is a major thoroughfare. People are trying to get off of Main Street and not go down 95A, so they're taking the side streets. My proposal, like I said, continue to do planning and design. It's already in the process. Pay for that. And then come back this time next year, see what grants that Trish was able to get, see what other funding that we were able to get for this fishing pond. But we need these streets, especially in that area, fixed. Some of the side streets off of Miller are even worse than Miller. I mean, they're down to the dirt. I just think it's better use of our money than another park, especially because we're already going to approve $650,000 or $600,000 for the out of town park in this budget anyways. So that's my proposal. I'm not a doomsdayer, would stop everything, but I think we have a better use right now for that 500 grand to go towards fixing Miller Lane. And I think to do something other than bringing up our streets and our infrastructure, it would be negligent to not get it done.
So just a couple of things for your information. On Miller Lane, it's already been proposed, so the design has already been approved with RTC. After that, we would go to RTC to help offset that cost. And in the majority of the cases, the RTC funds are enough to cover the entire cost. So we're not spending money out of the general fund. It's all used in RTC for those major reconstructions. Excuse me. And Ms. Altick may be able to correct me. I know we're in the process, if not already complete, with the grant application for the Department of Wildlife on the pond. Is that right?
We do have a grant application in for that. And we're hoping to offset what we're asking in the budget with those funds. So, and there's other options too. There's working with community, and business owners and, large business owners to help partnership on the park as well. The other, I just want to say on Miller Lane, there is one hiccup. We all know it's in terrible shape. We have quite a legal process to determine the ownership of the road, and that I've been told could take up to a year to figure out. So we've started it, but it's going to take a bit.
So,
Okay.
so I'm sorry to cut you off.
No,
So-
that's okay. So my understanding is the NDOW grant is only for $100,000. That's going to be a drop in the bucket on something that's going to be at least $1 million park. And we haven't even looked at staffing it. So, okay, let's say Miller Lane is going to take longer than we think. How about paying for the loop? How about paying for the Ricky tank? Now we know that we're trying to get SEDS money from the feds, but we have a better chance of getting SEDS money from the feds to get those things completed than possibly getting $100,000 grant, because we're at the end of that grant cycle on that request. Or possibly getting community involvement or big corporations, but yet we're going to earmark 500 grand for a maybe, and we have infrastructure that is broken down. Again, it's irresponsible spending.
So I will say that the loop project and the Ricci tank, those are different pots of money. So those wouldn't come out of the general fund. We couldn't use any of those funds to do that with anyway. We could look at other, side streets, patching projects, those types of things in the meantime until we get to the full reconstruction. But again, in the 2 years' time, and this was an internal conversation we had, in the time it's going to take to work out the legal issues to get the easements and figure out the ownership, then our RTC funds will be enough to cover that total reconstruction cost. So it wouldn't come out of the general fund anyway. So
if we're waiting on Miller, then I guess the next obvious due would be the streets between Miller and 95, because those are probably the worst streets and we own those.
sure.
We know that those easements and those property lines are pretty black and white. So, there's a way to spend this $500,000 on stuff that we need, not stuff that we want.
That's fair.
And the fishing park is not a need.
Okay. I will say that these projects for the side streets, they could also be used out of the capital projects funds if we're funding them out of there too. So just something to keep in mind. Those funds could be used to cover reconstruction of these smaller side streets. Normally, when we do major reconstruction, looking at $4 to $5 million total cost out of the general fund or RTC funds. But smaller streets, you could get by with $1.5 million, $2 million. So we can look at any of those options.
Okay, so that's the direction I feel that we need to go. Like I said, I'm not against continuing forward on where we're going right now for this budget year, but overwhelmingly, we're being told, hold off on this fishing pond, especially with the amount of money we're putting towards out of town park.
Okay.
And it's, the fields are coming out there as well, but again, one's a want, one's a need.
Okay.
Thanks, sir.
Councilwoman Zaberski.
I'm in agreement with that as well. As far as the fishing pond goes, I support it if we can go after a lot more grant monies than what we currently are. And if we're having a hard time spending 500,000, I don't know how far that 650 is going to go for our parks, but I am more of a fan of the grass is greener where you water it, and we can still invest that into our parks. That's the 600,000 will be a great investment in there, but I'm sure that it will cost a lot more to bring our parks up to par. So And I'm obviously very supportive of any kind of infrastructure that has to do with our streets. But if you feel like our streets are fairly covered, then I think that we should definitely utilize that money towards parks or any other infrastructure needs that we have for the meantime. And I really like kind of where it was going. I will say I was kind of surprised to see the name the mayor's park, and we hadn't even like really voted on anything yet to approve it. And so I'm happy with like the design process and where it's going, but I think that we will have a lot more opportunities for grant monies from the state, and like Lydia said, help from other organizations, but I would like to see, that's very crystal ball sounding right now. And so I would rather see like actual, if people are going to be helping with us, then we need to see that money start coming in before we decide to start throwing money at it. And I don't know if are we gonna have a park ranger? Like, there's so much other costs that come into the park that I don't think that we're penciling into the total cost of just constructing it. Just the yearly maintenance of having that kind of park. So just my 2 cents. Thank you.
Councilman Mendoza?
What is the total we have? I'm trying to find it through all the hundreds of numbers in here, but the amount of money set aside for the repair of the parks right now is like 600, 650.
Give me just a second.
I'm glad I'm not the only one.
I have way too many numbers in my head.
And while he's looking up that information, I'll direct a question to Director Williams. If the $500,000 that was earmarked for the fishing pond is allocated in addition to what is already there for repair of the parks, what would that look like for us as far as parks being repaired, or where that money would go?
Barry Williams, Public Works Director for the record. Are you speaking of if the 600,000 is for the out of town park and we still keep the 500,000 for the pond?
Negative. If we add an additional $500,000 to that budget.
For the out of town park?
For the out-of-town
There's
park.
some significant projects that could be accomplished with that. Lighting improvements, there's just a whole list of things that need to be done for the park itself as far as
Would
turf
we
maintenance.
be able to at least make the playing field safe?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
So we have $600,000 earmarked for sports field improvements and $80,000 for new lighting.
New lighting.
Yep.
Lighting's getting cheaper. So that'd be, almost $1.2 million allocated if we were to transfer that line item for the fishing pond, hold off on and wait for more grants and public input. And then we could significantly create a safer place at the out of town park where the majority of the sports are being held at. So I like that idea. Thanks for presenting it. And I'm glad that Miller Lane will be covered through RTC. So glad to hear that. But yeah, I support that as well.
Councilman Hannan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to know if we have a number for the total amount for unfunded road repair and replacement in the city of Fernley.
I don't off the top of my head.
Can we get some numbers in the
Yeah,
next
I'll-
one?
I'll get that and get it back to you.
All right, thank you.
I want to make a comment on fishing pond as well. And like Councilman Torres said, it's not something, it's something we want, but I also think we need it too with the amount of sports activities we have for our youth. Right now, our fields are so overcrowded with use that these kids are out there practicing at night at 9 o'clock at night. This would just add another soccer field, another baseball field, and just adds another amenity for not just the youth, but all kids, where parents can go out and fish with their kids, walk around the whole park. But I also at the same time understand the logic about getting our other parks fixed up. And I think with this org chart change and getting a Parks and Rec superintendent, I think we're going to see a big difference in our parks. because now we're going to have dedicated people just for our parks and open space. That's going to make a huge difference right there. And by putting this $680,000 into our, the parks we have right now, I think it's going to be a huge improvement on those parks. But I also understand the theory about fixing up the roads and fixing up what we have right now. So I appreciate the dialogue with everybody on what they see we should do. And I'm just thankful for the conversation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so as a staff and with the mayor, we'll get together before the final budget and come up with a proposal that'll, kind of walk through that. So.
Cool. Now, just in regards to the pond, if we have developers come in those areas that want to develop, can't we, incorporate a development agreement that would help fund the pond with the sale of all those homes that they may be putting in that area to help with producing an area for the children to play that will be moving into those homes?
I'll let somebody else answer that question.
Well, Joe, I'm not really sure what your question is, but I do have contractors that say they'll come out and move the dirt and dig the pond and get everything going at no cost. And what would happen, what they would get is in front of the park, they would get their name and say, this park was built and donated partially by Q&D Construction and Loomis and whoever, King Construction, whoever else decided to come
assist.
out and help build the park.
Nice.
The $500,000, I think, basically would have been to get fresh water into there, get the storm drain and the sewer restrooms built and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, as in terms of the developer, sorry, Michelle Rambo, planning director. As far as developers contributing to the park, we don't currently have a mechanism, but that's what we're hoping to put in place with the impact fees. When we get that going, there will be specifically a park impact fee.
Okay.
So we can, once those get up and running, we can use those monies towards it as well.
All right. And this will be my last question on the topic. Do we need to make a motion to direct you where to put that money as a council? Or should we? So that we
I think that could be done at the actual budget hearing.
Correct. There's two ways to do it. Either
For
he
now.
can, he can just take the instruction from you and bring back a final budget that be voted on. But you can choose to make motions at this time to give him direction, so he has a better idea of how to finalize that final budget. So if you have a specific item you want a motion on to give him instruction, you can.
Perfect. Well, I'd like to make a motion if it's appropriate timing for it.
Councilman Mendoza, if you'd hold up a minute, we have Councilman Hannon and then Councilman Torres.
Perfect.
I think for comment. And then when it comes time, I'll let you make the motion, sir.
Me?
Councilman Hannon, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Oh, I'm curious to know what the cost would be for the pond if we didn't actually dig the pond. We just is the digging and that part all free? So the 500,000 ish, 600,000 is for fields, bathroom, and then access. So what I'm getting at here, I'm just kind of brainstorming is, what if we built the park, but we didn't put the pond in right now? And then we did the pond like next year or the year after. We put the fields in, so we have more fields, like stage it, part 1, part 2. Does that make sense? Maybe Ms. Altick or somebody can answer.
Michelle Rambo, planning director, for the record. We are planning to phase it. The pond was part of phase 1 and the ball fields would be phase 2. We can certainly look at switching that around if that's the direction we want to go in. The pond itself, to put in the pond, was $300,000.
Okay. Do we know how much the fields were?
The estimate came in high because they estimated with artificial turf. We haven't gotten the final numbers for just the sod yet. So, but I can certainly let you know as soon as I get those.
Okay, I just think it's a good idea to know that so that we can kind of play around with the numbers. Maybe it's feasible to put in the fields. Maybe it's feasible not, so those numbers would help. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Councilman Torres.
So I guess this is for planning. I thought that 3 years ago that council made a motion and approved developer impact with the city adoption? And that, I haven't seen that policy yet, but wouldn't that be a good way to go with that?
Honestly, I'm not sure I know about that. That might have been before I got here. So let
No,
me
you
go
were
back.
here.
Or was I? Well,
Yep.
I'll go back and look.
Do you remember that, Mr. Mortensen, where we approved having in our development plan, I'm sorry, in the planning code, to where if a developer comes to the city, they have to commit to adopting a Little League team or adopting playground equipment and we approved that to be moved forward.
Aaron Mortson, City Attorney. I recall that conversation. I don't recall the outcome. So I could go back and look and see what we did, but I can't recall how we came out of that.
I want
I-
to say it was 2023, 24, maybe I think 23.
I remember now, now that you put it that way. Yeah, we talked to our outside legal attorney and he said that would be a taking and we could not require that.
Oh, well, that would be nice to know 3 years later.
I thought we had relayed that to you. Sorry.
No, and I'm good with that. I mean, if legal says we can't do it, then we can't do it, but okay. Well, that clears that up. Thank you.
Councilman Mendoza, did you have?
I'd like to make a motion on
Well,
the-
we have Councilwoman Zaberski has a comment.
I just quick question. For our parks, when developers come in, legally we say, okay, you have this many houses, you need to have this much open space or a park, or you can contribute to the parks that we have? Or what's the number of houses that demands open space?
The only thing we require open space for is if they do a planned development. So if they come in and do just a regular tentative map, they're not required to put in open space.
Okay. Does
Um,
open space take the place of a park?
Yeah, it's kind of the same. That it covers parks, it covers trails, it covers, any of the outdoor recreational stuff.
There's no fee currently that they pay, like a flat rate that goes towards our parks?
There
before-
is a residential construction tax that it's $1,000 a door per each house. But it's not, we don't get very much from that. I think we've gotten 600,000 total.
Yeah, that's the one where we get roughly $130,000 to $200,000 a year. So it's $1,000 per door that's dedicated for parks, and we have it in its own separate fund that we track. To date, give me just a second. I think last time we talked, we had gotten $67,000 to date.
Why is that at $1,000? Is that the legal?
That's the legal max that you can do.
Mm.
Mhm. An impact fee would allow for more than that.
You can have a separate impact fee as well as that fee. It's not like double
Yeah.
dipping whatsoever.
Right.
And Aaron Mortson, City Attorney, that's a big part of doing the strategic plans that we're doing is because those give us the backing and explanation and justification if anyone challenges those fees to explain why we need those fees for the parks and what parks we need, et cetera. And also how the development affects the need for those parks and increases the needs for those parks. So as we complete those strategic plans for the different areas, that gives us the backing we need to create those impact fees.
Thank you.
Councilman, you're good? Yeah. Okay, if there's no further question, Councilman Torres. Councilman Mendoza.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to reallocate the $500,000 set aside for the Mayor's Pond to be added to the repair fund for the out-of-town park that was already established.
Second that.
We have a motion by Councilman Mendoza, seconded by Councilman Torres. Please vote.
I have a question.
Oh, question?
Point of order. Thank you. My question is, what is the 500,000 going to be used for? Are we going to have a proposal to use that money? We're just setting it aside.
So we do have a list of projects from Director Williams. So we'll sit back down and figure out what the best use for that 500,000. We can bring a whole list to you, and it'll be presented at the final budget, and you can approve those in there. But it'll be located at the out-of-town park for any of
So I
those.
just want to make sure that we're clear that we're not just adding 500,000 to the bid that we're doing, and they're just going to do some mystery work that it'll come back separately as like phase 2.
Yeah, I will line it out what this $500,000 that we had originally set for the pond, what projects this will go to.
Terrific. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, there was no further comment. Please vote. Motion carries 4-0. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to our Utility Director, Song Kim, and he's going to walk you through the 5-year CIPs.
Oh. Okay. Good evening, council members, mayor, and the acting city manager. This is Song Kim, utility director. For the record, we prepared the tentative 5-year capital project from fiscal year 27 to fiscal year 31. I can go over one by one very briefly what it is for and why we need this project and why I need the council's approval on this. First, that the 6th, 7th, and B2G Street reconstruction as a part of the engineering department 5-year capital improvement plan for the reconstruction of 6th, 7th, and B2G Street. The utility department want to also replace the existing water and sewer lines while the roadway is under construction. This is replacement of water line and sewer line as well, while we are going to have a roadway reconstruction improvement. This can save us time, money, efforts for doing this simultaneously. And the second one, the Fernley Industrial Park improvement comprised of the Leon Drive, Industrial Drive, Salvador Drive, and Resource Drive. These streets provide commercial access to businesses in the city's industrial area, which results in the substantial truck loading on these pavement sections. The city realized that the substantial cost savings by designing and constructing portions of the wastewater collection system beneath the Leon Drive and the Industrial Drive and the Salvador Drive in conjunction with the roadway and drainage improvement. Yeah, this is a combined effort for the engineering and the utility department to improve the street, also improve the water and sewer lines in that area. And third one is Highway 50 roof design and construction project. Development of east of Nevada Pacific Parkway is served from a water main within Farm District Road. The water main operates at a dead end, which means that water can go only in one way and has no circulating. Dead ending mains cause water quality problems, operational and maintenance problems with the water stagnating in the main. This project will extend the water main along US 50A from Nevada's Pacific Boulevard to a Julia Lane at the golf course. This main will provide a valuable secondary source of water for the golf course community and the other developments served by the water main.
within the farm district. We're going to finish this next fiscal year 27. And the next one is the water chemical line replacement in water treatment plant. These chemical lines are in there for 17 years without any refurbishing later. So chemical lines are very critical component of the water treatment process. And many system components have reached their intended service life. The chemical system is a critical water treatment component, so we must refurbish before it gets to be a problem. Once we fix it, we'll have brand new chemical feed system for the water treatment process. Right now, the water treatment treatment has no bypass for the water system to continue to function if there was a demand for fire or any other demand. So we must provide the bypass function so that just in case of emergency, you can provide the demand outside and in the city system. And next one is existing 1.5 million gallon treated water reservoir 1 and interior and exterior coating and upgrade. It's been 17 years we have this, the existing water, treated water reservoir, 1.5 million gallon capacity. We need to refurbish and the recoat outside and inside, the welding and corrosion, or all kinds of stuff. It's been too long. So since we have number 2, second treated water reservoir already completed, now we can do this existing the treated water reservoir 1. And it is about same the concept that we need to refurbish and renovate the interior and exterior of the rig tank number 1. We have the rig tank number 1 right now. It's been about 30 years, very old. We have to take care of inside and outside of the tank. Now we went out to bid for rig tank number 2. We are planning to finish the construction in about 9 months from now. Once we get the rig tank number 2, we can work on the rig tank number 1, refurbish inside, exterior and interior of the rig tank number 1. We want to finish it in this coming fiscal year 27. Red Rock Road water main extension that needs to connect to Red Rock water main into the Highway 50 loop main. This is same as the dead end issues problem. We want most of the water mains circulating. We don't want any dead end and mains because it causes a lot of issues for us, problems and times. So we want to extend this Red Rock Road main extension to Highway 50 loop water main. We do have a sedimentation basin in the water treatment plant. Once we coagulate the water and settle down the particles, we put it in the sedimentation basin. but it's been showing a corrosion and water path short circuiting. We have to fix it to get the quality water. So we want to finish it in this coming fiscal year. Well, we estimate about 500,000 for refurbish this sedimentation basin rehabilitation. And the city of Fernley has analog water meter system. So our water meter tech goes out on a regular basis to measure the water consumption of our customers. So we want to convert it to a digital system so we can see the water consumption, any other things if anything happens in the office, and it saves us a lot of time, and we can reduce a lot of complaints from the resident for that. We want to change about 3,000 new meters this year, and later on, coming year, we want to change about the water meter into digital system so that we can provide a better service to the resident. Our compressed air system in the water treatment plant is about 17 years. Yeah, it's been more than long enough. At the end of the lifespan and it starts to leak, and we need to replace the compressed air system because we use compressed air for the entire water treatment system there. So we want to finish this one also in coming fiscal year 27. And we do have a long-term plan for the surface water intake program. The council approved this concept, and we needed to design this surface water intake system. But we saw an opportunity to get a grant for the design of this the surface water intake system. So we will work with the granting agency or our source, what their requirements are, what do we need, what do we have to do to comply with their requirements. And we are trying to get the grant for the design of this surface water intake system. Once you get it, we can finish this design by March of 27. That's our milestone. Then after we finish the design and go out to bid and trying to get the grant for the construction money, which is about $37 million, which is a significant amount for the city. But at least you want to finish our design phase for this surface water intake system, so that we are looking for a grant for this design phase. For the sage tank, we need a backup generator. It is not working right now. Just in case if a power outage or an earthquake or anything happens, this sage tank contributes a lot of water to the lot of significant portion of the water distribution system. We have to fix this backup generator for the sage tank. We want to finish it by next year, fiscal year 27 as well. And we give out at least the construction water to any contractors or construction company. And our construction water key system is not working properly, so we have to replace it and fix it. for that, not to lose any revenue from them. And the water treatment plant perimeter security fence is in poor shape. So if someone wants to get in, they can easily get in. You have to fix it for the safety of the water treatment plant. And our existing fire suppression system does not meet the requirement for sprinkler operation. So we have to increase the capacity to meet the fire suppression requirements, which, that's a part of the water treatment process as well. Also, the keypad sometimes fail to work at the water treatment plant. We have to fix it, and the intercom and video cameras also doesn't work very good. Many times it fails. So it is a kind of security issues for us for the water treatment plant also. A state that requires a redundant air scrub blower. Sometimes we don't have the redundant air scrub blower right now, but we need one more just in case the air scrub fails to function, so that we can immediately replace that component. And the HVAC system in the water treatment is not working very well. It's been such an old system, so we want to improve the total system. This is a brief for the water treatment and the water distribution system for the city of Fernley. If you have any questions before I go to the wastewater systems.
Any questions for? Oh, Councilman Torres.
Quick question, sir. This is a lot.
Yeah, a lot, yeah.
So I have a serious concern because like maybe a tenth of this was presented at the priorities meeting, and we had no idea about the majority of these asks. And if it's not clear and transparent to council, how is it clear and transparent to the public? So my suggestion from here on out, and it should have never gone to us by presentation. Like, you should have been stopped before the presentation at priorities with having little to nothing in your priorities presentation. Because now we're like, I read this and I was just blown over. We were told like 4 or 5 things from each side. Something's got to be fixed between now and next year with giving your, like, we have to know what it is that you want at the priorities meeting, and not, this is a surprise. So that's a concern. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. Yeah, I'll keep in mind that keep the communication with you people all the time, and inform that or update anything in the water vessel systems.
Yeah, and this wastewater as well. I mean,
Yeah.
I saw that, and it's the same thing. There were 2 or 3 items in the presentation on the priorities meeting, and now we're just getting hammered with a laundry list. If you need it, let us know up front. The worst thing we're going to say is no, and we're only going to say no because we don't have the money, right? But yeah, you and the acting city manager got to get together on making sure that it's clear and transparent from the beginning, and not surprising us with a laundry list at the second budget meeting, please.
Okay, yeah,
Thank you,
I'll
sir.
remember that from now on. Thank you.
I have a question.
Councilwoman Zaberski?
Sorry, I just want to make sure because now I'm a little scared. We're going off of what's highlighted, not like every single thing on this list is what we're approving for the 26-27 budget for wastewater
No.
or water treatment, or is it what's highlighted? Because I was going off of what's highlighted and I was like, oh, that's not a huge ask. But it's every single thing on the list?
Robert Carson, City Treasurer, for the record. Yes, it's every single list. The highlighted ones are just highlighting the first one for the surface water intake design. So we potentially will be awarded a $2 million grant. So it'll bring that cash total down for the needs. And then if you look at FY28, the surface water intake construction, that's just highlighting that the $38 million, we're going to have some real serious conversations on how we're going to fund it. There are grants available to cover some of the cost, but the remainder, we're going to have to discuss where we're going to get the funding for it, whether it be issuing bonds, reaching out to the state revolving fund, any one of those options. They were just highlighting because they're high dollar values and we're exploring grants for them.
So it's like 40 million for water
For the surface water, yes.
and then like 21 million for wastewater?
I think the wastewater plant, and Mr. Kim will get into that, but I'm going to say
27 million.
Oh, 27.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Torres?
We're not taking that out of our enterprise fund right now, right? That $38 million?
No. That's planned for fiscal year 28 is when ideally we could start construction. So we'd get the design done this coming year and then we'd explore how we're going to fund it before we start construction. But ideally construction would start in fiscal year 28.
So how much are we asking for approval? Sorry, like between this and the final budget?
Right now, this isn't necessarily a budgetary item because it doesn't show up as an expense. This is just cash out the door. So the 15,697,000, if I'm reading that right, that's what is being proposed for the next year. Now, some of these projects are going to carry over year, much like previous years. So do we expect the $15 million to fully be expended? Not necessarily, but that's the estimated cost of all the projects that have been identified that we need to start in fiscal year 27.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'll go on to the wastewater systems. The first item was the same as the water enterprise fund to 6th, 7th P2G Street reconstruction, while the engineering department do this road reconstruction. We want to replace our water line and sewer line as well at the same time. Yeah, Fernley Industrial Park, sewer rehabilitation reconstruction project, same as water line replacement too. So we want to do replace or improve our water and sewer lines at the same time. The street roadway improvement is on the way so that we can save time and money when you do it, because these areas, the sanitary sewer, manholes, and water lines very old, need to replace it whenever we have a chance to do it. And East Lift Station is one of the main key lift station for the wastewater collection systems. And it's been rehabilitated in 2007, which means 19 years ago. Now it's many things are falling apart. We have to refurbish or improve that whole system. And before we can have our new wastewater systems in 3 or 4 years, if possible. So this works is design and the preliminary engineering report done this year. And if it looks okay to us and with the council approval, we can start the design for this east lift station expansion and the construction later following year for that. So new wastewater facilities, city determined that we want SBR system, sequencing batch reactor wastewater systems. Right now we have a lagoon and pond system, which makes a lot of trouble for us, especially for the older problems because of the nature of the pond system. By having a new mechanical system, that kind of problem will go away once we got the new mechanical up-to-date system, and we can use effluent reclamation process with the effluent. So there are a lot of use for the reclaimed water for the wastewater effluent. We can sell to the industrial users so by saving our water consumption also. So the design of this new wastewater facility, I estimated about 3 million, but the construction of phase 1 and phase 2 total 17 million for the phase 1 for the reclaimed water facilities, chlorine generation, all those structures and basins. But second phase is if city grows fast enough to require more wastewater treatment capacity, then we can put second phase of modular system, which is much easier since we have phase 1 system already. So modular addition is phase 1 system if it comes to necessity later. And Highway 50 lift station need a water source. Right now we have a temporary water. But we need water to clean the lift station for there. And also, not only that, we need to replace the discharge pipe at the same Highway 50 lift station. The discharge pipe is all corroded and should be replaced this year because of it is under the state requirements to fix if for the whole lift station conditions. Our SCADA system for the the wastewater collection system is very old, about 20 years. Now it's been that old that it's hard to get a part. Virtually we cannot get a part, so we need to replace it with a newer system and getting a part easier and then fix it, repair it easier later on. Without the SCADA system, it is impossible for us to run the whole 12 wastewater lift stations. This is critical for us too. It is the same for the water systems. The Red Rock Road extension will while the engineering part to the reconstruction of the extension of the Red Rock Road, we want to replace the sanitary sewer lines plus manholes as well. So I mean, we are working with engineering department, and whenever they have a plan to replace or the work on the road and the street, we want to do it same time. So we know that that area is very old area. We need to replace our water and sewer lines as well.
I have a question.
Councilwoman Zaberski, go ahead.
Mr. Song, with the Red Rock, road upgrade, because there is a development that's coming in off of there, they wouldn't be helping with that, or would we need to replace that sewer line regardless of the development that's going in, and we're just doing it because of the road maintenance that's gonna take place?
Yeah, that the main reason is when the road reconstruction is going on. We want to do it because we have to do it anyway. We cannot wait any development comes in or not. It's been so old.
But it's not like we're replacing it because it's gonna be overwhelmed when the houses go in on Red Rock Road. Like, there's no way we'd be able to get the developer to help us with that cost because we need the replacement regardless of the houses that are going in. Or would they be on the line to help contribute to our main being fixed, being that there's gonna be a development going in there?
Yeah, I need a direction or I need to talk to planning department about that. If we can get help from any development, it's much better for us. But
Right.
that sewer and water line is our responsibility to maintain. So
I understand, but
yeah.
even if we're gonna replace it with like, so that we can handle a higher capacity, that would still be a part of they're bringing a higher capacity, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like we should be taking that into account when we're replacing some of this infrastructure. If they're going to be creating a higher capacity, then they should also be on the line to help the city replace that kind of sewer main. Yes.
Yeah, that's good. I look into it, that
Okay.
option, sure. If
Okay.
there is any way they can help us, of course.
Yeah.
That's better.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Councilman Torres.
So, are any of the things that are being asked for in this budget year 26-27, can any of them be like, are they must-haves as we are really trying to put in a new real sewage treatment plant? Like, are we spending money that we're going to tear down in hopefully 2 years?
Yeah, it is really policy council decision that we need new wastewater facilities and surface water intake, or if we need, when. But this topic has been here for, if I remember correctly, about 9 or 10 years already. So if council decide that we can postpone a little more because we don't see any critical emergencies right now, of course it's not the emergency. We can live with this the lagoon and the pond wastewater system for a while we have to bear with all the water problems and nitrogen problems.
Yeah, and we've had nitrate problems for at least a decade.
Right, yeah.
So I guess my question is, right now, we're like this close to getting a $4 million grant for planning and design a sewer treatment
Right,
plant.
yeah.
So we want to build that and have it built by the end of 31-32. Are we spending money now on stuff that we need to have or that we want to have that we're eventually going to end up tearing down in 2 or possibly 3 years?
We don't want to miss any grant opportunities, of course. We can finish the design, that's no problem. But the construction, going to construction is another matter, really, because it takes a significant amount of funding and money for the city. We've been waiting for this new wastewater facilities and water intake, surface water intake for long enough. Yes, council can direct us to wait a little bit longer until we get enough sufficient funding sources for this project. Of course, that's an option, a viable option.
I don't think I'm making myself clear. I don't care if we have to go to bond. That's the one thing with the sewage treatment plant that I would push if we can't find other funding is going to bond. Because it's not a matter of we want it. It's a matter that we have to have it. We have to have it before we're told that we are going to build it. Once that happens, the price from the contractors is going to double once they know that we have to do it. What I'm asking for is maybe Mr. McNeil can help on this. Is anything on the list right now that we're asking for in the next budget? Can it wait? Or are we going to, do we need it? Or are we going to buy it, apply it, and then tear it down in 2 years? If we need it, awesome. We have to have drinking water, we have to be able to flush, and we have to be able to turn the lights on and drive down the streets. After that, everything else is secondary. So could you help with that, sir?
Yeah. Nate McIntyre for the record, wastewater systems foreman. Are you speaking of the pond relining?
Just anything that is on this this budget year.
So most of the things that are on there are necessary, that we really need them like
Okay.
now. As far as the pond relining, which is our highest dollar amount request, that's more in staying aligned with what the city had told NDEP we would do to try to address the high nitrate levels in the groundwater.
Okay, I appreciate that. I don't want to shortchange anything. I just don't want to put something in that we may not need right now and then tear it down in 2 years. But if we need it, then let's do it. Absolutely.
Yeah, and hopefully with the design of the new treatment plant, a lot of these ponds will be utilized with that system.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I have a question.
Me too.
So as I mentioned,
Councilwoman Zaberski?
oh, I'm sorry.
I think I kind of got the answer from that. We'll be able to utilize some of these 2 million, 3 million, some of these parts, even with the new system, we'll be able to utilize those. They're not going to be like, sorry, we don't use that with our system. Get rid of it.
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
I think, Mr. Song, what would really help me, if there's any way, because I know everything on here is a priority because it's wastewater. But if there's any way that you can kind of catalog some of these things as far as highest priority down to it can wait a little bit to find out if we get that funding, then that would be really helpful for me when I'm going through the budget, because I feel like everything on here is an emergency because it is. And people don't want to fund sewer until it's a problem. But I think that it would be really helpful if you had some of these in kind of a top priority. This is an emergency, all the way down.
Yeah, I'll make the priorities. Of course, for us, these has been delayed for a long time for us, at least for 5 years. That's what I remember. But it's time to move on. At least top priorities first, and then so I can make priorities for water and wastewater systems, what is more important than the others.
I think that would be really helpful, only because I'm not an engineer, and so I don't know if painting the well is more important than fixing the lift or what is top priority. So that would be awesome. Thank you.
Sure.
Councilman Mendoza?
Yeah, I was on the same line as I'd like to see a list of critical needs, not so critical, and some wants, so that we could decipher what is super critical. If everything on these two lists are critical, it seems like we've been neglecting our water treatment and water plant for a very long time if it's all critical all at once. And that's a concern for myself as well. So if we could categorize these things to give us a better idea, I'd appreciate that. And maybe just a little explanation. Maybe 6th and 7th B Street reconditioning needs to happen because the road is being done this month, and that has to be done. So those explanations would be nice to know, not just for us, but for our constituents out there. So I'd appreciate to see this redone and represented at the final budget meeting, or hopefully a week before the budget meeting, so that we can review this before the last budget meeting. So that would be my request.
Okay, I'll do that. Yeah, thank you.
And I don't think we have to go through the rest of it unless you guys want to, if we're gonna have it redone.
Yeah, I'm okay with stopping there. I just have one last question.
Go ahead, Councilwoman Zaborski.
I hope that you can answer this for me because I feel like it's kind of weird. So it might be this direction in here. But the lift station bypass for Love's, I know that in the past that we've had issues as far as like oil dumping
You're
and
right.
things like that.
That's the, yeah, same. So.
I'm just curious if Love's, is the city going out and finding them when it happens? And if so, Love's needs to be on the line to help us replace a lift station if they're continuously getting reprimanded for dumping oil and it going into our lift station. I don't want to pay for them making mistakes like that or for our city to have to constantly be doing it. And I just don't understand how that works. Are they getting fined by OSHA or like who do they get fined by? Who are they answering to when that happens? And is the city getting any of that money? Or are we saying, okay, now you're replacing our lift station because you've dumped oil 5 times and it's jacked it?
Right, Love Station had a problem for dumping their oil to the lift stations, and we issued the violation letter, and the state issued the same thing. They are now cleaning up everything in compliance with our requirements, but we found out that we don't need the lift station there. We can bypass it. That's why we want to move that lift station from there and just bypass it directly to the wastewater plant, so that they don't have. It's a lot less chance for them to dump anything into there. If they dump any oil or illegal stuff, it comes to the wastewater plant. Then it becomes more evident or more problem.
Right.
So we want to remove the lift station there by doing the bypass.
Okay. Is Love's gonna help us pay for that bypass? Since we're bypassing them so that they don't destroy our system?
It's the same as for everyone. If they want to discharge any wastewater, yeah, they can do it. You can treat it, but there are certain materials they cannot discharge. If they do, they are in violation of all kinds of laws and rules and regulations. Then it's very heavy fine for them, very heavy restrictions for them.
Does
So-
the city get the monies from that fine?
And-
Who gets the money from the fine?
I don't know.
Aaron,
I think we're a little bit off topic.
But I can just briefly answer that and then get us back on topic. Nevada Department, NDEP has the authority to fine in this situation. NDEP review. I don't know if they issued a fine in this case. The city does not generally receive the money from that, but usually the costs, related to the cleanup, Love's would pay those costs. But
Okay.
if there was a fine that was issued, NDEP would be the one to collect it and the state would get the money.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you for the presentation. We're going to stop it here. Mr. Carson, do you have anything else to add?
Thank you.
All right, thank you. I just wanted to give one more opportunity to bring up any issues before we get to the final budget. Anything else you want to see? Any other suggestions? And I will take all that and bring it back for the final.
Councilman Torres?
It seems like we have a little bit of money that would be able to do this. Can we do half staff? It's fairly easy, and send out like when we have different issues and topics, and it's going to come to the council to decide, to where we're actually doing a professional survey, like an online survey. It's on our website. They go in, they look at it, they tell us what they want, and that way we're not piecemealing it from 5 different wards.
Yeah, we can 100% look at that.
And that way the city's not doing it. It's actually somebody who's independent, not going to sway the survey one way or the other. And it's just we have this topic. Would you rather see this? Would you rather see that?
Yeah, we can 100% look at that.
That'd be great. Thank you.
I think that's a great idea. All right. If there's no other questions,
Thank you, everyone.
we'll move on to line item 3, and this is public forum. This portion of the meeting devoted to the public. If you wish to comment, you can do so in person at the meeting or raise your hand, feature Zoom, or *9 if you're participating via phone. Public public comments are limited to 3 minutes. Please avoid repetition. Is there any public input at this time?
Tammy Dittman for the record, and I'll try and keep it short since this was a long meeting. I'm all about systems, and what brought this to mind is that almost every meeting we have problems with the microphones. It'd be nice if there was a system that whomever can use when they're there to know to turn on the back speakers to make sure the microphones work, all that stuff. There is a process that you can create to create those systems. Regarding the fire station, and I know I'm going to piss a lot of people off on this. What's not being said, and what I would like to know, and maybe others, maybe not, is the fire department to explain why they are in the position they're in, why they need the money. They got the extra nickel the last time, I believe it. That was the amount. Maybe provide a copy of the budget to the public, not having us have to ask for this budget. But what's not being said is why they need the money. And I've been becoming more conscientious of how much of our tax money is being used for, the fishing pond when other stuff is needed. So that's where I go, and I probably made a lot of enemies right now, so sorry. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Roman Cisneros. I'm representing Fernley Youth Football and Cheer League. I just have a suggestion on the extra money that may be added to the out-of-town park budget, or the $500,000. You got Memorial Park. I've been told to use that park for our football practices. It's all dirt. Maybe we can put some turf or some grass on that park. That'll actually open up a little bit more for the kids. And then the last thing I got is, I keep hearing baseball and soccer fields. We already have those with the out-of-town park. We have nothing for football. So I just want to make sure that we're not forgotten. This is our 25th year in the city, and we're the only youth sports that doesn't have a dedicated field. Soccer field has the Connex that's got all the soccer stuff on it. Baseball field has theirs, softball has theirs, but we don't have anything for football to dedicate, that shows that we're here and we're part of this community as well. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public input at this time? Anybody on Zoom? All right, our next meeting is at 5 o'clock tonight. This meeting is adjourned.